Hi, welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Just a couple of notes for this webinar. We will be recording this webinar, so it'll be available within 24 hours after our completion, and you'll be able to find that on Nest as well as we'll have it on our main page. So look for that. For the rest of it, if there's anyone else in your practice who wants to watch it, or if you wanted to watch it again. So welcome everybody. We've got a great webinar planned today. First, I wanted to do introductions. My name is John Dinchek. I'm a product manager with AdvancedMD. I've got over 6 years experience in healthcare, and I'm currently working on the scheduler, our cross-browser initiative, and shortly patient engagement. And just a fun fact about me, I've got a very eclectic collection of pets whose roots trace through 6 continents, so that's a lot of fun. And we've got Paul Norton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Norton. I've been with AdvancedMD for 10 years now. I've been in the instructional designer role as well as a trainer, and I'm currently a quality analyst here in the engineering department. I've also been in the healthcare industry for over 15 years now. And a little bit about myself, I am a fanatic about motorcycles. I've been riding them since I was very young.
Great. We will be taking questions. You can submit questions throughout the webinar. This is going to be listen-only mode, just kind of for the flow of the webinar. With whatever time we have left over at the end, we'll be answering questions. The good news is if you send a question over, we have the ability to take your responses offline, and we'll be reaching back with you in a few days. So any questions you have will get answered. So what you would do is in the webinar, you see the question. You type in the question, make sure you send privately, and send that over. And we'll have a team of people that are with us on this webinar who'll be answering questions. And again, we'll get back with you. So I'm going to go over the agenda, but I kind of want to do a little introduction on what we're doing here. So as the new schedulers come out over the last few months, one of the goals we've had is getting more product knowledge out there and having these webinars where we can show you how to utilize the scheduler and give you updates for future functionality. And so we're going to continue that trend into the future and have periodic webinars where we're able to show you new functionality and kind of go over things you may not have seen. So contrary to popular belief, 4 months ago we didn't roll out the new scheduler to make your life difficult. The new scheduler is part of an 18-month initiative that we worked on because of limitations with our current technology platform that kept us from being able to do new features. The need for cross-browser, as everyone now is using Macs, and the desire to use Chrome, and then to grow our features. And so I'm really excited to show some of the stuff we've planned for the scheduler as part of that growth. The other thing that we've done, so if you've used, for today's webinar, whether you've been using the scheduler for 5 months since it's been out, or if you've just started or haven't used it yet and you're still debating on when to try, we wanted to go over items here that today that will discuss some of the new features that you have that you may not have been familiar with. Paul and I are going to go over workflow scenarios, and so we're going to kind of go over some of neat items with our new 5-column functionality, as well as utilizing that left pane and some others. And then we're going to go over future enhancements, which include month view. And then kind of at the end, we have a couple other items we'll talk about, including the what's next for the legacy scheduler. So the other thing is I'm just really excited, and we'll have questions at the end. The other thing I'm really excited about is, if you've posted on Nest, if you've sent in your comments, if we've talked to you at Evo, this team is very customer engaging, and we love your feedback, and we're hoping to show where we've made those changes in your feedback to help improve your experience with the scheduler and for items to come. And so with that, we will get started. Okay, so the first thing I actually wanted to show with our new scheduler, one of the biggest feedback items we had was the calendar. And so in May, we actually were able to revamp the calendar and move it. One of the biggest comments was I couldn't see more than 1 month at a time. And so right now you have the calendar on your far right. And so if you just hover over, you'll actually see the ability to select a day, move forward. Just like the other calendar, you can move, the next month, advance through, You can also hit on our Go to Today button and take it back home. But what we wanted to do is having this hover over functionality, which is if you move away, it goes away, was to give you the option of pinning. And these pins are user sticky settings, so they'll actually remember per user what your preference is. So you can select one pin, and what you're going to get is kind of a ghosted, you'll have a ghosted calendar here that you can see 1 month at a time. You can still work around it. If you hover down, you'll get more months depending on your screen resolution. But if you'd actually like to have more screens and have them pinned, you can go to the bottom. And I don't know if everyone has seen this, but if you have a bottom right pin, it's actually going to keep your calendar pinned as its own column. And the neat thing is some of the changes that we've made with scrolling, you can kind of scroll around that and see that calendar. And so you can scroll through pretty quickly to various months. If you move off, it still stays. In fact, moving off will move you back to the current date you were looking at. New functionality that we also added was just to make it easier to jump to different appointments. So if you're with a patient and you want them back in 3 weeks, instead of looking at the calendar going, well, I think 3 weeks is here, I can hit the 2 week, which jumps, and then I can hit 1. Or if I want to see them back in 6 months, it takes you right to it. Now that is day-based, so that'll go off the number of days. But it's just a quick navigation. It was something we could do to improve the calendar. So really hope you've had a chance to take a look at the calendar and get some use out of that. And we really love having both items pinned. And again, I can close this, and when I open back up, the calendar will be fully pinned. Some of the other items that I want to talk about was feedback items that we had. Was the colors. And in fact, the lighter colors for some monitors made it very difficult to see, as well as the blocks that had the slash marks through were difficult to see. So we have made some changes. You'll see the blocks are back to the dark blue. But depending on your monitor or your preference, you may find that these colors just don't work for you. If you go up to this ... and just a tip, this is where we're going to be adding some cool new functionality to. So just keep a lookout here with future releases where we can put some different items here. It gives us space. You can switch to the darker colors. Now the colors are technically the same. It's just a darker version of that color. So both you and other members of your practice can utilize the same colors but have a different view for whatever works for you. So we've gotten great feedback on the colors. We're very excited about that. So we'll hope you had a chance to take a look at that. And then the next time you open up the scheduler, it'll remain at that darker colors. Some other items, a functionality that's still the same, but I kind of wanted to point out where it is in case you weren't familiar. The half circle here is your checked-in appointments. This is the same functionality that exists with Legacy. There's actually no changes here. It's just the link is moved over here. And confirm appointments is actually moved out of the scheduler, and it's to the menu bar up at the top. So you can look at that. We're going to go in more in depth in a couple minutes on the left bar and checking in appointments as well as making appointments and wait list. But just wanted to show you some other things that you may not be familiar with. So if you're hovering over an appointment here, you'll have actually you get two options. If you hover, you'll get the simple view, the kind of fast view, where you can see items as the date of birth, the age, the phone number, copay information. But if you actually click once, you'll get even more information. You can edit the appointment from here, check them in, check them out, move to cancel, no show, select the patient, which then moves over here to the left. So you have all this additional information as you scroll through. And the neat thing is that it actually gives you their next appointment on the bottom if you've selected a patient here. And then we'll have phone number. If they have a preferred phone number, like a cell phone, there'll be a little icon here. If you hover over it, I'll see if I can find one and show you. And then, so let me see if I can find a different one. And just different items here. We've added a lot more information than what you had in the Legacy, the ability to see the comments, instructions, all kinds of information at your fingertips right here. And so just as a high-level overview, that's what I wanted to show you. I'm going to actually switch to Paul. I'm going to kind of go through workflow scenarios And Paul's got some really exciting stuff to show you. So,
thank you, John. So in order to make this webinar not too terribly long, I'm just going to focus on a few key points that either maybe you commonly use in your office or a few new features that we want to make sure everyone is aware of. And in the next few minutes, what I want to go over are going to be a few little tips and tricks, as well as maybe some scenario-based and how do you use certain functions. So you may be familiar with some of these items, and I hope that you can gain something from them if you are not familiar with it, or you can get some tips and tricks from that. With that being said, the first thing I want to talk about is making an appointment. This is the most basic function of the scheduler, and hopefully everyone here is familiar with making an appointment. But there's a few things that have changed with this new scheduler that I want to highlight to make sure everyone is aware of. The first thing is, in the legacy scheduler, you always had to select your patient first. So if I was using the legacy, I would go here and search for my patient, select the patient, and then go ahead and make that appointment like normal. So I would select the time and hit New Appointment and make the appointment. A change that we've made that sometimes is often overlooked is you no longer need to select your patient first. Notice how I've cleared my patient. If I desire, I can immediately select the time slot and select New Appointment, and you'll notice I now have the ability to search for the patient in the Make Appointment screen. This can make a difference in when you're trying to just jump immediately to make an appointment and you don't need to pull up the patient and see all of their information. That can be very beneficial to that. On the topic of making an appointment, a little tip that might be beneficial for those out there that are unaware, you're probably familiar already with the ability, which I just showed you, to click the time slot and select New Appointment. There is also another way to quickly get to that Make Appointment screen. You don't need to wait for that pop-up screen. You can simply double-click on any time slot, and it will immediately open up your Make Appointment. So if I'm in an office and I'm constantly making appointments throughout the day, little things like that can make a difference. I don't need to select and wait for or select the sub-menu. I just immediately double-click, jump right into making my appointment. Didn't need to search for a patient first. I immediately go into search right here, select, and that can actually make your day hopefully much quicker than what you were experiencing in the past on that. There's a couple things that I wanted to mention about as well when talking about this Make Appointment screen that may go unnoticed. In our Make or Edit Appointment, either one, it's the exact same screen. Once you have a patient selected, you may have missed that there's an actual icon right over here, right next to the X. If you select that icon, it's a shortcut to pull up the patient demographics. That's often overlooked. And another thing that I want to mention, I need to close that demographics. When in doubt, double click. It's not going to break anything. Have fun with the system. And what I mean by that is sometimes you'll find that our engineers have decided to add little Easter eggs that sometimes are hard to understand or not understand, but notice. This whole entire toolbar will act as that shortcut if you double click. So once I have my patient selected, I don't even have to take the time to go over to the icon. Just double click and you'll notice it immediately launches the demographics with that patient selected. So it's a good rule of thumb that at least I live by. Double click all over the place. It works. Sometimes it doesn't work, but you're not out anything. So those are little tips I wanted to mention when it comes to making an appointment. I did want to talk about editing an appointment. Sometimes you'll get patients that come into your office or that dial in and you need to make changes. It could be that you need to add comments to the notes, to the actual appointment. We're all used to selecting the appointment in the actual scheduler and then going into Edit Appointment and making whatever changes, be that duration or the referral or your comments. You also can make any of those changes here on the left grid. So since I already have a quick view of the appointments that are for today, I can simply find that and then choose Edit Appointment. It's another way to quickly get in to my Edit Appointment screen. And on that topic, if your office is a workflow where you commonly will search for the patient, Let's say that I searched for my patient here, very dapper looking guy, and he's called in, he's not in the office, and I need to make a change to a future appointment. If he had a future appointment, it would be listed down here. Unfortunately, this patient doesn't, so that was a horrible example. I apologize, I selected the wrong patient. If I select the right patient and choose Select Patient, sorry, I'm over the place here, you'll notice that as I go down into my appointments, I actually can get the same option here. The benefit here to making this edit appointment, like John had mentioned, this is the future appointment, the next future appointment for this patient. So if the patient doesn't remember, it's in a week or it's in a couple weeks, and you don't want to really go fishing around, just search for the patient, scroll down and find that appointment down there at the bottom and edit the appointment there. So that can be very helpful in an office when you're just trying to find their next appointment to edit that. There are 3 different ways that you can actually edit an appointment, and hopefully you'll find the one that's most beneficial to you. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the 5-column. And I really wanted to take a minute here to discuss the 5-column. How can this be beneficial for an office? We all understand that we incorporated the ability to have more than 5 columns. So now I have a scroll bar in which I can scroll through, and as I scroll, it will start to load those columns into view. So something that we couldn't do with Legacy. But the real question is, beyond the ability to now scroll, how can this benefit you and your office? And to answer that question, first, I want to show you how you can set up your 5 columns. So in order to do that, if you go under Master Files and Appointments and select, and I apologize, I got to hide this control out of the way, Master Files and Appointments and select Scheduler Setup, here you'll have your normal screen where you had your tabs down at the bottom and your columns up at the top. This is all unchanged for the most part. If I want to add more than 5 columns, I simply select the tab or page, and you'll notice there's always the option to add another page or column, to my page. So notice as I selected one, I got a new drop down. So I can continue and repeat and rinse and add as many columns as I would like. If I want 15 columns, if I want 20 columns, I have the ability to do that. And then of course I would save pages if I wanted to save that. We have made just a couple changes to this screen because we introduced more than 5 columns that will hopefully make your life a little bit easier. The first thing you'll notice down at the Page tab area, notice the number next to each one. Since you can now have more than 5, it's probably a good idea to quickly know how many columns do you actually have in a page, and this is where you can actually see that. So as you're setting this up or maybe changing as a provider comes on board or leaves, whatever the case may be, you'll notice that I quickly can see I have 8 pages, 4 pages, etc. In addition, since I may have multiple pages with 10, 20 columns in them, it may be hard to find where a column is because I might have to scroll a long ways if I've made that large of a page. Over here in our grid for the columns, we've introduced a new column, and it's called Page Number, and this will actually give you the number of pages that particular column is in. So for example, the Alfred column is currently attached to 3 pages, and if I hover over, I'll get a tooltip, and right there's my tooltip, that shows me, okay, this column is currently in those 3 pages, so I know exactly which pages they are in. So those are slight changes we've made that will hopefully make the transition to 5 pages more beneficial, or more than 5 columns, I apologize, beneficial. And while we're on the topic of Legacy and that Legacy master file, I do want to mention that this feature is only for the new scheduler. If you've introduced more than 5 columns, the Legacy will still continue to only show the first 5 columns. And in fact, when you are in the Legacy scheduler, I'm going to go ahead and load our Legacy scheduler. You'll actually see, notice this message right here at the top, letting you know, hey, this page has more than 5, you're only going to see the first 5. So be aware of that in your office if you've done that, that you're only going to see the first 5. Now that we've kind of shown and seen how I set up the more than 5 columns, how can this help you in your office? Hopefully you've already started to think about this, but there are ways now where you can add in a page, and let's say that you've got 10 columns that you've always wanted to have grouped together. Now you can do that. And that's the easy answer. But what happens if you don't want to set up 20 pages, 10 pages, because that's a lot of managing those pages, switching those tabs, and etc. Well, now what you can do is add all of those columns together that make sense for you, of course. And what we've introduced with the 5+ columns is now the ability to collapse as well as expand or shrink these columns, and how that can also go hand in hand. For example, in my office, let's say that I'm working the front desk as a scheduler in the office, and there's a few columns that are of particular benefit and need for me as I pay close attention to those. Let's say that, for example, Alfred here is a column that I really need to pay attention to, maybe the Simpson column, but the Betts column is of no benefit. With a simple click right up here where it has that, you'll notice the little greater than, less than symbol, this little less than. I'm going to click that, and you'll notice that it immediately collapsed the column. This is a user preference setting, or what you'll probably hear us call as a sticky setting, meaning if I close the scheduler and I relaunch it, it will remember that my user did not want to see that column, and it will stay collapsed. If I log in at home, if I log in at a different computer, it knows, oh, this user didn't want to see that column. Of course, if I need to see it, I can simply click and it'll come back into view. How this can play benefit now is office managers don't need to worry about, well, how am I going to manage these pages so it makes sense for my office? Certain users like to see certain columns, other users don't. If you're in that kind of a scenario, you can now let the user decide which columns they need to see and which ones get the most real estate on the screen. For example, maybe I don't need to see, I'm going to go ahead and scroll over a little bit. I don't need to see this lab column. I'm going to go ahead and collapse it as well, and I'll scroll back. And since I've already identified that Alfred is really an important column to me, in addition to having it in view, I'm going to click and drag and really make this one nice and visible in my view. In addition, this lab column, kind of important, but I would rather see the green column more. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink this column, still make it in view, but I just really don't need to see all the details in the extended view, and I'm okay with shrinking that. That's now made it, for me as a user, more tailored to what I want, and my office manager didn't have to spend the time of trying to create pages unique to each scenario or to each user, and it's exactly how I configured it. So now if John in the office decides to log in, it's going to be his view and not my view. So hopefully that is a way that can really benefit you in your office in how the 5 columns and the resizing works. Now, if you're in your office key right now, or if you've tried in the past and you're like, wait a minute, I can't resize, I don't have that ability, or I don't have the ability to collapse, you do need to be aware that there is a system default you need to enable in order for that to function. I'll quickly show that before I move on to the next topic. So if I go under Utilities and System Defaults, I'm going to select the Appointments category once this finishes loading. And you will notice right here in the middle is a fixed width columns. You need to have that set to yes in order for you to be able to collapse and expand the columns to your heart's desire. If it is set to no, the system will determine how wide your columns are based on how many columns there are in view. So if it's set to no, you won't be able to. So if you want to take advantage of that feature, just go ahead and set it to yes, and then you will be able to adjust and collapse and expand to your heart's content without affecting anyone else in the office. With that being said, I think that I want to now move on to our find feature. We had a find feature. We do have a find feature in Legacy, and it was often used, but we've made some changes that I hope will benefit anyone who uses it. And for those that don't, maybe now knowing these benefits could even make it so that you will start using it. So to find, it is this icon right next to the check-in that John mentioned earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and select that. And I have my traditional find fields or criteria. I can select by provider column. I'm not going to go through all of these. We're all familiar with it. If you're not, please take the time to go ahead and learn those. I'm sure that we have videos and help files as well on that. So I'm going to skip some of those, and let's talk about some of the changes that have been made. The first thing is, you'll notice when I select and expand this hold reason category, I've got some things here that I want to talk about. If you're in an office that you use holds and you frequently used, and we've seen lots of clients that use holds, we've hopefully made this find feature a little bit more powerful for you. The first option is exclude all holds. So in other words, once I execute this find, if there's an open slot but there's a hold there, it's going to ignore it. It's going to assume, nope, I don't want to make that appointment there, so let's keep looking. If I choose include all holds, it's going to say, okay, any open space and any holds, any of your holds. So if you have a hold for, you're doing hospital rounds, you have a hold for walk-ins, you have a hold for new patients, if it's open, it's going to find it. In addition, we have our wait list. So if you've configured your scheduler to automatically create those, I can say, show me the holds that have the wait list. So maybe we've had some cancellations, some appointments move, and I've got my wait list. I can go ahead and search by wait list. Now, one thing that you want to take into consideration anytime you're dealing with a hold. So down here, I can select a specific hold. For example, maybe I only want to find open time where there is the new hold. This checkbox down at the bottom right here is often overlooked, and it is critical to how you're going to use your find. Right now, it defaults to include open space. What that means is, in my current scenario, I have new patient and this checked. It's going to find any open space or any holds for new patient, both. And so oftentimes clients might get confused because they execute their find and it comes back and says, wait a minute, it's finding all this open space. I'm looking for just the new patient hold because I've got a new patient in and I want to book them into one of those holds. If that's your scenario and that's your case, make sure you uncheck that. Now what it's going to do is when it executes, it's only looking for open space that has that new patient hold. So that's a critical component to how you're going to do that. The last thing I want to mention in this find feature, and this is brand new, is only show columns with openings. If you are using the find to search by columns, which most do, in Legacy, you're probably aware of this if you've used it. When you search, let's say out of these three columns, the green column was completely booked, but the other two, or maybe even just bets, was open. The results will still show you all three columns, and you kind of have to do a little manhunt to figure out where's the open space that it told you is in this view. So there's a little bit of more labor work that you need to do to figure that out. We've changed that with this, so now I can check this box that says, now if the column doesn't have an open spot, don't even show it in the view because I don't want to see it. So you can now check that and make sure that it excludes that. I'm going to go ahead and execute this search. Let's say I'm searching just for my new patient holds. And the last thing I wanted to mention is you will notice we now have time indicators right here that show you when the first open slot is that meets your criteria. Legacy didn't have that. Maybe you used the find feature months ago, years ago, and you're like, well, this is frustrating because I still have to find my slot. Maybe give the new one a new shot because now you can see, oh, it's easily identifying for me right here at 9 a.m. It's meeting my criteria and it's open. I'm going to go ahead and make that appointment for that new patient right there. So those are some changes in the find feature. And the last quick change or feature that I wanted to talk about that often gets missed is our wait list. And we understand there are some clients that never use a wait list, but we also have many clients that love it, that live on the wait list, that really need this wait list. And so I want to talk about some of the changes to that wait list. I'm going to expand my wait list, and you'll notice that in my office, I currently have 5 on the wait list. Now, the first thing that some offices or some clients may panic about when they see the new wait list is like, wait a minute, what happened to my grid? I need that grid. I'm a grid person. I'm a visual. Give me just the grid. I want it on a paper. Don't worry. We've kept the grid for you. You notice this icon right here that looks like a little pop-out icon. If you select that, you get your grid back where you can work through your wait list like you normally would. And the nice thing with this grid, it is, in fact, interactive in the sense that you'll notice as I select a row, I do have the option to either move the appointment, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second, or edit the criteria as to why this appointment is on the wait list. So I can make those changes right here. However, let's say that your wait list is not so heavy that it's a big long list or grid, or you just prefer a quick easy list because it's visually more appealing to you and you're that kind of person. We now can manage the wait list here on the left in this column, just like you would any other appointment. And what I mean by that is the first scenario is I have an appointment that just canceled. I don't need to use the find feature. It just happened for later today at, let's say, 2 p.m. right here. I know that this patient's been on the wait list and is ready. I can see, if I hover over, you'll notice that I can see their contact information. So I could go ahead and give Gloria a call and say, hey, does 2 p.m. today work? We got a cancellation. And she's happy for that. I can simply select the appointment, choose move. You'll notice that I'm in a move mode, and now I could just go ahead and move that appointment. Let's pretend that I already canceled this appointment. You'll notice that, that's a bad example. Sorry, this column had hit its maximum. My other column has canceled. There you go. So you'll see that I've now moved the appointment over there. I didn't need to use the find feature if I didn't want to, and it was a quick way to use this wait list feature here on the left. However, if you're more into you like to do the find features at the end of the day, or the wait list, I apologize, or at the end of the week, whatever the scenario may be, you can go into move once again, but you'll notice that it's now tied into our find feature. So maybe you don't want to just start hunting and pecking for open spots. You can actually, while in move mode, go ahead and fill your criteria just like we did, including if you want just the wait list, you can do that if you want as well, and then go ahead and execute that, and on any of the results, you could just move the appointment like you normally would. So those are a couple ways that you can do that. Now, in order to make this wait list really fully functional, you do need to be able to sort it, because everyone's wait list sorting and what's most important to them can change. For some offices, it's the longest appointments. For other offices, it's what's the highest priority as far as the waitlist priority. Others might be, we're going to do first come, first serve. If you were on the wait list first, you get that first option. So whatever you want to do, you'll notice that we have a full criteria list here, and it will sort in order. So in other words, it will first sort by the top option, then the second and third, and so on. So in my office, let's say that I want to sort first by days on the wait list. I simply click and drag it to the top and click apply sort, and it's now going to sort by that. However, what if you don't want to sort by ascending order? This icon kind of gets lost because it's a little bit grayish. If you hover over it, highlights, you can click the icon and you'll notice now it changes how it appears, and now it's actually going to sort in ascending order where it was descending previously. So I can not only change what's going to be first sorted, but also if it's going to be sorted in ascending or descending order for any of them. And then I can apply and use that. Now, if you are an office that likes to use both, and you like the left and you like the grid, if you change your sort options when you pop out the grid, it will change your sort according to the criteria. So don't worry, they are synced together in that regard. So you're always dealing with the sort, the list in the order you would like. So those are some of the great changes to the wait list that I wanted to mention on that. With that being said, I want to turn the time over to John. I know he's got a quick few more topics to talk about, and maybe some exciting new things as well.
So a couple of things that I wanted to follow up on, and then just some of the things that, in watching Paul's presentation, just wanted to point out. One of the neat things that I've seen from clients utilizing the 5+ column is we still have that 20-page limit. And that's still there. If you wanted to reduce the number of pages, or as you've known them in Legacy as tabs, you can. You can actually take and reduce down to a number that makes sense. So if you have 10 and you've got 5 on each, maybe you can reduce it down, or you can reduce it for that provider, maybe on the offices or the days they visit. So it's just a cool feature there. And one other thing I just wanted to show on Week View, if you've got Saturday and Sunday, it's just days you don't use, your office is closed, you can hide those days. So, and then once they're hidden, you won't see them again. So just a cool little tip there if you're wanting to get more space for your scheduler. And so, in speaking with that trend, there's some cool stuff that I'll be showing here. So what I wanted to start off with was this new item we added to the scheduler, the left panel, the left pane panel. And so for some people, it was what is this thing? What value do I get out of it? And I know other clients have gotten a lot of use. And so we have the functionality that you had in Legacy, as Paul mentioned. You have the find appointment and the checked-in appointments. Anything that's on here, if you hover over, you'll get a tooltip for. And in some cases for clients, especially if you've added, for our users who have added maybe 5, 10 columns here, or if you have a large practice, you have 25 providers, you may find you'll see up at the coming up, you've got 600 appointments coming up, which makes it really difficult to manage. It will show the most upcoming first. You can hit more. I'm going to show you some of the filter options that we have that you may not be aware of. One of the changes we did add was that we do have the counter now, so you'll have the exact count, and you can look at the different items here. You're always able to close if you don't care about the different statuses, but this just gives you the ability to quickly look and go, I've got 3 other patients who are in other status, what's going on there, same with checked out. A couple of cool things that I'm not going to go over at all on this webinar, but as we add more functionality to the scheduler, it's going to heavily utilize this left column. And we've got our advanced rooming that is coming out soon. And then we're actually working on a template option. Both heavily utilize this left column. So it's a great spot for new functionality. So what I want to show you here is the ability to actually filter. So right now, I've got 22 coming up appointments. So if you go over this filter at the top, you can click on this, and what you'll see here is follow calendar. So we have actually 2 options that you can do. You can have 2 at the same time. Follow calendar will give you, it's essentially a page view. So it will show everything that is on this page, Alfred, and everything is showing here is 22. Everything with these counts also, they do include any hidden columns that you have. So your counts will show and your searches will show for the hidden. So they'll be there if you need them. But I actually want to, right now, I only care about, at this point, I also want to filter off of Simpson. So I'm going to hit Simpson, and you'll notice that now, for one, we've got the indicator that shows there's 2 filters on this. But you're seeing I only have 3 coming up appointments. So if your scheduler is only responsible for certain columns, certain providers, this really can help them out. And this is also a sticky user setting that will save for them. So if that's their day, they can see that. They have their information right there. If you quickly hit on the X, it clears it. It shows everything. If there is no circle with a number, you are viewing everything. So that's just the quick indicator of knowing what you're viewing there. And so, again, with the left bar, there's a lot of functionality here. We showed when we selected a patient that you get this information as well, and then you can kind of filter through. You can click here to open up our demographics. You can also search, and so you can search for new appointments here and then make them. I'm also going to search for someone that's coming up as a quick way. If they're actually coming up, you can see up at the top they'll have their appointment color, and then you've got different ones that match that. So just wanted to point that out. One other thing that we've done that you may not be aware of with the new scheduler is in regards to cancellations and no-shows. So right now, if we have, let's find a new status. If we've got LaShawn who cancels or will do a no-show, forgot. At this point right now in Legacy, and if you haven't switched this on, you're going to see that their appointment disappears. And so you're not going to see that on there anymore. And just giving it a chance to update here. And so that can actually make it difficult to help manage your no-shows and cancellations. So what I actually want to show you is if we go to Utilities, System Default. Now this will be for your entire office key. But if you go to Appointments, you can actually switch to display no-show and canceled appointments. So I'm going to hit save. I'm going to close. I do have to reload the scheduler for this change to show up. And what you're going to see is, you're going to see that LaShawn is now smaller. It's going to be completely white background with a slash through it. That shows that you had this appointment here. It was a no-show because you've got the no-show status, and you can make an appointment. This is a visual indicator of why is there so many holes in my calendar, and then you can look at that. I've talked to users who are actually utilizing this functionality to recover revenue from no-shows or cancellations that are last minute. If you have a policy of $50 for a no-show, this is a better way of tracking. You'll also see for tracking that the no-shows will show up on the list at the bottom here. So you can also calculate no-shows as they're coming through. So those are the other items that I wanted to show, and I'm going to take it back to our slideshow right now. Okay. Future enhancements. So a lot of you have asked about month view. Yes, month view is coming back. We're actually actively working on month view right now with anticipated release date this summer. And keep an eye out on Nest or online for beta opportunities, as we'll have opportunities hopefully soon that you can beta. And I've got a mock-up of month view that I'll show here in just a minute. We've added appointment analytics. I'll go over that in just a second and actually be able to show you a demo. And then we're also giving you the ability, this was a big feedback item, of side-by-side view. So you can have the stacked view, which is what you currently have, or you can switch to side-by-side, which I'll show you how that looks as too. I don't have that where I can demo it, but I can show you the actual development screenshot. One of the other big feedback items that we have is collapsible left column. And so that's actually going to be deploying sometime in July. So that'll be out soon. The neat thing with that is it can be used, it's a user sticky setting again, and it can be used in all views. And then scheduler dock and undock, I'm going to save and just show you that one. Just wanted you to note that right now we're in development on these items. These are not planned items. These are items that we're actively working on. But things can change. So there's times where functionality needs to change, or there's time based off feedback from beta or other input that things may change. So just keep that in mind, that some of that may change as we go through. So with our month view, we actually spoke with a lot of different clients over many months on what we needed to do for month view to also improve month view and give your month view back and make it better. And so one of the biggest two items we got from our users was, I use month view for that 30,000 foot level. I look for holes, I look for trends. It just gives me kind of a health of the system, health of my practice, as well as the ability to quickly find an open slot. If you have a new patient appointment that's an hour or an hour and a half, and you're trying to find that appointment, you can quickly go into month view now and look. And so we've taken that into consideration, and you'll see everything that's on here will be the side-by-side view. It'll be smaller as you're just looking, but this month view will have full functionality. You can hover over, you can make appointments from here, you can change status, so it'll have full functionality as well as giving you that look and feel. And then one of the other items I wanted to show, so you'll go over here, you'll click this new view icon, and you'll have the ability to see the side-by-side. So we're still finishing this up right now, but this is actually in development. This has actually been coded that gives you that option. The really neat thing is you can expand. One of the reasons initially we had to go to a stacked view was that if you couldn't expand the column, you wouldn't see the names. Having the ability to resize, which is part of that new platform technology that we didn't have in the past, gives us that option to give back the different views. So we're really excited about that. So actually now I'm going to switch back. Again, this is a development environment. And I want to show you a couple of the new things that we're working on. So first, we talked about the left collapse. And so you'll be able to, just kind of as Paul mentioned in the calendar, you will be able to collapse the left column, which gives you all of this additional room, which for month view and week view is is wonderful. And you can do it for day view as well. It just depends on your workflow. You have all of the icons are here. Everything has a tooltip. But what you'll get the count still, and the filter still works as well. But when I select coming up, I'll get a pop-out window that just shows coming up. So it doesn't always move everything over. It hovers on top, so you can quickly look. You can grab somebody, you can check them in, you can select a patient. So now you can see that their name is selected. We select their memo. You can slide over and see them, and then you can hide them. The same with all the other statuses. You'd be able to select and have them pop out. So we're really excited about that. And I had mentioned the user sticky settings. So one of the neat things is if I want to see the full left panel in day view, but I don't care about it in week view or month view, I can select them independently. So I can have left column collapsed for week view and month view, but have it open for day view. Again, this should be out. We're hoping for mid-July. Keep an eye out on Nest for details, and we've got a lot of feedback on this, and we're really excited to get this out. So it's a exciting development that actually, in kind of working with the calendar, we were able to do. The other feedback item we got from, and this is not finished yet, the other feedback item that we had from clients was they actually individually were counting appointments for the health of their practice. So they were going through on a monthly basis with MonthView, counting appointments, and it was a very tedious task. So what we wanted to do is give you the option of just getting a quick at-glance analytics view. So at the bottom, you'll notice that this hasn't been officially changed, but the appointment counts at the top will be moving to the bottom. You can click on this, or you can hit the arrow. And what you're going to have here is you're going to have this pop-out window that is going to have, now it is going to sort based on this view on the total amount. So if there's 9 total appointments for this type or this color, you'll see that listed top, which is why for this Tyler column, you don't see anything. And it's going to list the different ones. We'll be adding a tooltip to this, so you'll be able to see what the appointment. There is some final touches that we're adding here. This also expands, if I can grab it. This will actually expand with the column, so it'll grow if you want to have a column bigger. The other thing too, if you see this little icon, you can click on it, and it's going to open up our report center, and it's going to take you to the appointment types report, so if you want additional information. What we're hoping with the analytics is that it gives you a quick look faster, that you don't have to run a report. So we don't always want to or need to do that. I'm not sure where I had my no-show, but the other item I wanted to point out, different view. So actually, let me no-show. Oops. Let me no-show. And what I wanted to show as well is that you see at the bottom here, we'll have no-shows at the bottom, but you will get the total count for the day, for the week, for the month of your no-shows and your cancellations. So we're really excited about that functionality. And then the last item I wanted to show you, we're really excited about this. And so we've been working to speed up the scheduler. One of the items we've had is with different browsers is being able to release memory. And trying to work on a solution for that actually led to this really neat functionality. You're not going to get the true scope of this because I'm on a single screen. But if you notice, there's a new icon over here at the scheduler. And so if I click this, this is also a user sticky setting. The scheduler will pop out and be in its own browser window. You can move the scheduler over to the side. If you have a second monitor, this is amazing. You'll get more real estate with your scheduler. You'll be able to see the full screen instead of having some other items at the top, and you can have it separate. This will remember your setting. It remembers everything over. If you actually want to go select the patient, and I want to go into demographics, you'll be able to open this up and work on that patient as they're loading. And so great opportunity to be in your patient info, your demographics, or your billing, and have your scheduler open on the side. The neat thing is once you close out this scheduler or redock, it clears all that memory. So as one way, we're able to reduce the memory load. And what you can do is you can quickly just click on this redock, and it just brings it right back and reloads the page for you. Everything will work the same with an undocked, and it still has the timeout and all those neat settings. So really excited. This will be coming out later this summer as well, and just endless possibilities with that. And the team is very excited about that. So those are the items that I am going to show. We'd love to get your feedback in the comments. There's a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about before we conclude and open to questions. So the biggest question we get, the scheduler team gets, is how long do I get to keep Legacy for? Legacy will be sunset at some point. We don't have the exact date yet. It's very difficult to keep two technology platforms together. There's a lot of maintenance there as well. And moving forward, we'll be moving with one scheduler. As we get closer to having month view out, that's where we'll have a date selected for Legacy. Again, we don't have that date yet, but we should have that actually pretty soon once Legacy's out or once month view's out for clients. But what our senior management has promised all of our users is that you will have a 90-day notice from the time that the date is selected of when Legacy is going to go away. One of the things that the scheduler team will be doing is incorporating into Legacy Scheduler, and we're looking even into the new scheduler, a counter or a reminder so that every time you go into the Legacy Scheduler, you are reminded, so it will not be a surprise. We want to give you as much information as possible ahead of time. The other item that I wanted to go over, I don't have anything to show for it right now, is there are practices that I've talked to who they want to keep users from using Legacy. And I'm happy to announce that at the release of month view, practices will have the ability, right now that'll be through calling support and having that deactivated, to hide Legacy so that no users will be able to use it, that you can control your rollout. If you haven't rolled out to Legacy, you can control that. If you wanted to go to more than 5 columns, you can control that as well. We'll have more details on that, but that is coming soon. We wanted to give that option to practices. We've got a lot of great feedback. So that'll be up to the practice to decide when to deactivate. Otherwise, again, you'll have that 90-day notice. The last item I had is Nest. So as you know, Nest is our new user collaboration platform. The scheduler team is highly involved. You'll see me on Nest almost every day. And I just want to do a plug for Nest. We will have scheduler updates. It's a great place to give feedback. It's a great place to give ideas. We've taken ideas off of Nest and used them. So, if it's there and it gets the votes and we're able to do that, we'll also update if you've got other feedback on it. And then we post cool stuff like this webinar on Nest. So I can't recommend Nest more highly. I hope you get a chance to look at that. We're under the Advanced PM section. Each key should have a link to Nest, and it's really easy to log in and use. And I hope to see you on there. You can find me on Nest and follow, and you'll see all my posts. There's a lot of great information, and it's a great place for our community to share. And if you want to see more scheduler, we'll also be at our Evo conference in Nashville in September. And so if you have questions on Evo, that's on Nest, or you can call in. And with that, we're going to take questions. So thanks, everybody. So we'll give you a couple minutes to formulate your questions, and then we'll answer. And if we need to go a few minutes over, we can do that as well. And really appreciate everybody taking the time and learning more about the scheduler, and really hope you're liking the scheduler and the changes that we've shown.
Okay, so one question I believe is getting asked is the display no-shows and cancellations. Is that available now, or is that a future feature?
And that is available now. So you can go into system defaults and appointments, and you'll find that there's no-shows and cancellations. So you can choose both, or you can choose either one. So yes, that is available now. Yes, so one thing just to kind of, so there was a question that came in as far as, and if you came in late, you may not have heard it. We are recording this webinar. It will be available within 24 hours. It will be on Nest, and I believe it will be on our main page. I don't have that exact location. If you are a registered user of this webinar, you will get the link to the video. The video, previous webinars we've had, people have been able to use those in the past for additional follow-up. This is a great opportunity to show people in your practice who who didn't have the opportunity to come today. So yes, within 24 hours, we will have this online.
Did you want to take a minute to, because it seems like there's some questions regarding future features or roadmaps. Did you want to kind of discuss how that works as far as features and roadmap?
Sure.
Not necessarily specifics, but just in general.
So as the product manager, we take in feedback from users. In some cases, that involves going out and visiting with clients, getting feedback from our advisory groups, as well as on Nest or emails or beta. So we do get a lot of feedback from beta clients. In fact, for Scheduler, we had a 4-month beta that I ran. I was able to get that information and prioritize that. So not every feature that is suggested is able to get in to the scheduler, but we do have a backlog of the items that we do have. One of the neat things on Nest is with the idea share comments is you can vote on there. So if we see something that has no votes, that can be lower priority. It doesn't mean it won't happen. It may still be a great idea, but if we see something with 50 votes, that's really strongly our users saying we really need this, and if we're able to get that into there, we'll be adding that. And so the other big thing is as far as roadmap, we'll still be making improvements to the scheduler. We will not stop working on the scheduler. There's various areas that we'll keep improving performance, improving new functionality and usability, as well as with the templates. We'll have the ability to. The templates is really exciting. That's going to be its own webinar. You're gonna be able to do a lot of great things with holds. The holds and blocks will be coming out of the master file. You'll be able to use that in the scheduler. You'll be able to copy and move over items from everyone we've shown we're really excited about the templates. I think you're going to love them. And so we'll have more information as that gets started. Look for that probably the winter, but we'll have more information before that in the fall. We'll do another webinar to show you where we're at.
John, we got a great question here. For those that don't know, John also has worked with the team that's done a lot of the how would you call it? Not just the
cross-browser.
Cross-browser. That's a great way of saying it. So we got a question that's come in that's maybe not necessarily scheduler related, but right down your alley. When will the ability to scan be available in Chrome?
So we have an open beta right now. If you send in your office key and your email, I can send you a beta agreement today, and I can have you scanning today. It's really neat functionality. It's brand new. We're looking at actually releasing it probably the middle of July to everybody. So we've got a new software partner that we have for libraries, so to work on Mac and work on Chrome. And then we also have our document scanning module, which takes that scanning ability and just puts it on steroids. It amplifies it. So that should be rolling out as a beta actually in the next few weeks. And so we're really excited about our scanning option. Scanning will be available really soon. Again, it's kind of in the final beta stages right now. There's one small piece of functionality that we're adding, and then we will be we'll be starting to roll that out to our clients. So yeah, really soon. If you just send me your email and your office key if you're interested, for anybody, and I can get you activated. You do have to sign that beta agreement until we're actually fully released, but it's pretty quick to get that set up. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your day and have a happy and safe 4th of July holiday. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.